are the College of Business Alumni Association, College of Business, and the Nevada Alumni Association wants to welcome Joel Gray, COO of Nevada Land Inc. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We had a set of questions. I do want to defer to Jake and Taylor, who know you the best on this board. So I want to have them lead some of the questions that they developed. So Jake and Taylor, take it away.
Oh, cool. So first off, I just wanted to say again, thank you to Joel for joining us, taking the time out to do something that's probably a little bit unorthodox for you. But so again, thank you. And Joel's, for those of you that don't know, Joel is a part of a variety of different projects here in Reno, and I'm going to let him speak to those. But I've prepared a couple of questions, and I want to leave that open to the board. If there's things that pique your interest, jump in. Joel, I don't know if there's you want us to use the chat box or something like that, but I have some prompted questions of things that I'm curious about, as I do have a somewhat of a relationship with Joel, but I want to open that up to you guys as well. If you guys have questions for him, jump in. So first things first, Joel, I heard this, and I could be wrong, but did you get married like on Fenway, like at Fenway, on the field next to the big green monster? If that's true, tell us about how that happened, why that happened. I see you with the Niners gear in the back, so maybe you're two coast loyalty type of guy. But start off with something. How did that happen?
You're not seeing this part of the room, which is all Red Sox and Patriots, but these are on loan from my brother-in-law, who's a big Niners fan. So he had to get them out of his garage. So yeah, that is a true story. Got married 2 years ago, September 30th, actually on the Coca-Cola roof deck during the 108th win of the Red Sox, the year they won the World Series. And my wife planned the whole thing. So
very cool. Is this the wife of the brother-in-law? Because it sounds like if he's a Niners fan, he might know what he's talking about. His sister married at Fenway. I kind of like his family.
That's exactly it.
All right. So you married into a good family then. We like to hear that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, my connection with you lies with Reno Ice, and that's what I'm going to kind of start off on. For those of you that don't know, it's a big project down in South Reno. And shoot, well, we have the man here. Joel, why don't you tell us a little bit about how Reno Ice came to be and kind of your vision for that?
Yeah, so we started 6 years ago. I was working at the Economic Development Authority of Western Nevada, EDON, and one of the board members there had come out of a board meeting, had seen my license plate holder, which was a Bruins license plate holder, started talking about skating. Next thing I know, we're doing an outline on a nonprofit rink. At the same time, found out that there was another gentleman in town that was kind of heading down the same path. We merged the two groups and have been off and running since. So not quite as fast as we would like to have had it go, but when you're out in the community trying to raise $10 million, it has its challenges. So we formed a board of it was 4 people at the time. We're actually back to those 4 people. I guess it was 6 people at the time. So we have an advisory board of about 26 people that includes everybody from Senator Kekeffer to the mayor to Commissioner Lucy, and a handful of business folks that have been able to help out in various different aspects of whether it be fundraising or formation, building, et cetera. So we started with United Construction about 4 years ago at this point, working with Jeff Frame Architecture and going through the planning process to understand kind of what we need. At the same time, talked to about probably 30 rinks around the country to find out what was successful, what wasn't. It came back that nonprofit was the way to go, which was our intention from the outset. Went from there and started researching efficient ice equipment, and ended up our system that we have, and I'll show you some pictures here if I can show you the screen. Let me just share the screen here. Can you see my slide presentation? Does that work?
Yep, I've got it on my end.
Okay, Perfect. So first off, let me just give you kind of the overview of the site here. So this is rink 1 here, as it has stated, rink 1. So Wedge Parkway is just to the left of the blue and white buildings here, with the ballparks directly to the east of that, so on the right side of the page. So we had kind of gone out, we had talked to the city trying to figure out if we were going to buy property, what we were going to do. Came back that the Washoe County owns the park that we're currently sitting in. However, it's under the sphere of influence of the city of Reno. We were able to work a lease negotiation with them for $1 a year for 40 years, which allowed us to do many different things. Number one, not have to raise as much money, but it was a good public-private partnership in that regard. So from there, we obviously picked our contractor, we were off and running, but the research really comes into this because this building is intended, nobody in the area has experience building it. Fortunate for us, United Construction had hired a superintendent that had just gotten done building 2 rinks in Wisconsin. Brother played in the NHL, so it really kind of fell in our lap in that regard. But we're trying to build a 46,000 square foot building that's efficient and can keep the giant ice cube in the center frozen, again, keep our operating costs down. So kind of went to work from there, went through various different building types, ended up with a prefabricated, pre-insulated metal building system that has worked out great. As it relates to the rink that you're going to see in here, and I'll just show you some pictures at this point. This rink system here, this is obviously the wall is on the building on Wedge Parkway now, but this grid system here, the same exact rink system is what was used in the last 4 Olympics and is going to be used next year in the Olympics as well. It was cheaper than any other rink system we could find in the country. However, a lot of intricacies, it's 40% more efficient. It uses a solution that runs through 31 miles of pipe called ammonia oxide. And so that's about the equivalent of Windex in your house, because there has been a lot of issues with ammonia in various different rinks, whether there be a leak and certain things like that. So it's non-toxic ultimately, and just a safer product, but much more efficient. So we talked to this company out of Germany that is the only system that's used for USA curling in the Olympics. Met with them, started the discussions there. The difference with this is there's about 14 inches of product underneath this ice from dirt that had to be leveled on with over 300 survey points. So paver locking sand, if you're from paver locking sand, if you're familiar with that, that was the first base layer. Then we had to lay down another 31 miles of pipe that is actually what's called a heated floor. So there's heat that runs through that. You're probably wondering, why do you put heat in an ice rink underneath the ice? And the purpose for that is so you don't have frost heaving. So if the ground temperatures get off, you can lift the ice. So we laid that down, added more paver sand, 4 inches of really rigid insulation. And then we started laying down a felt, and then this white grate that you can kind of see out there. We have tons of it left over if anybody's looking for something to hang in their garage. But we laid it down, and then 31 miles of pipe. The interesting thing was the Germans come over, they don't bring any of their tools, so they make all their tools on site. So there's a wood skateboard that literally goes over the piece of pipe. One person sits on the skateboard, they push the skateboard down, and for 31 miles, they continue going back and forth to put this pipe into the grate. The other part of this, I think I have example here. Here you go. So on the left side of this picture, this giant trench that's here, this is concrete and insulated. There is 2 very large pipes that connect in here, that the piping comes out of Poland, the rink comes out of Germany, the boards come out of Finland, and the refrigeration system comes out of Nova Scotia. So it's a very worldly project, but it's tops in its class as far as a system. So this giant trench holds these pipes. Well, in that comes 581 different pipes that are connecting into this header trench for that 31 miles. So the benefit of this system, whereas a standard ice rink would be one straight pipe loop throughout, and the coldest part would be in the center. If you have a leak, you're ultimately melting the ice and removing it and making that repair. Based on all of these having their own valve system in there, you can shut off each individual pipe. So if you do have an issue, you can repair that pipe without sacrificing business loss during that time. So just some other pictures for you here. This picture right here is facing from really the player's bench side. It's a panoramic, so it's not really to scale, but this will be called the south side right here. There's bleachers that go from the tops of the boards all the way up to the mezzanine area, where we'll have a family-oriented sports bar and grill. And we already have an operator for that as we kind of grow into the space. There is 4 locker rooms within this facility that are really overly sized and for a purpose. After having gone through enough of these, we kind of understand all of the different nuances that we can't stand, so we kind of solved a lot of the problems along the way. We also have a female-only locker room, so in case there's a co-ed situation, so they have their own spot. Obviously, if it's a full women's or girls team, they'll get their own locker room. And then we have a referee's locker room in here as well, which the refs never usually get that kind of treatment. So we were exceptionally nice to them during this process. The top of that wall there will all be glassed in, so somebody could stand in a temperature-controlled environment and be able to watch the whatever activity is going on the ice. Biggest thing with this rink, and our board had to get trained on this, is not a hockey rink, it's an ice rink. So the bulk of the utilization of this facility will be public skate, followed by lessons, and we have an NHL Learn to Play for the little kids just getting into it from 4 to 9, which we actually got the Golden Knights to sponsor that program. We sold 2 sessions of that program, 100 kids in about 10 to 12 days. So that was full up, which was nice. The benefit and the reason that we did this, if anybody has ever been to the Knights practice facility in Summerlin, it's set up exactly like this. So this is ready for a second sheet of ice for another 40,000 square feet on the backside that we're already designing, which allows us obviously to have multiple events, tournaments, things like that. But anything you can do on ice can be done at this facility. We will have a sled hockey program for both veterans and paraplegic. We're already in the process of getting that sponsored. We will have curling, we'll have broomball, which is a great people watching event. And then we'll have kids tournaments and figure skating, et cetera. So we have probably the best staff in the country. And I say that not bragging, but we got really lucky in that regard. We had a level 5 figure skating coach and power skating coach that lived in Minden. Her husband was an ex-NHL player. She had been teaching up at the lake for years, and she came on board full-time with us. Our general manager came from the Nashville Predators organization. Our hockey director, prior to being in Reno, was a Division I hockey coach at Colgate College in New York, and played 19 years of pro hockey in the AHL himself. And then our ice maker, who came from the Salt Lake City Oval, he's made ice in the last 2 Olympics. So we really have a very top-notch staff, and that's how these things succeed. So just some other pictures for you, just kind of getting back here. So this is from the mezzanine level here, looking down on the rink. This is all now fully enclosed. Boards are fully in. We actually sold out all of the board advertising around the entire rink, which is usually a tough thing. We did it about 45 days. So the community has been fantastic on that. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Right now, I just got from our contractor, our opening date as of this morning is December 30th.
That's huge, Joel. This is really awesome. I think you used some words in there, worldly. I mean, this is when you started talking about hooking components up from 3 different countries, all European countries, and the level that this is going to debut at is pretty cool for little old Reno. And I know it's not so little old Reno anymore, but obviously as a native Nevada myself, I'm hugely excited.
You're on mute, Jake.
Did you guys hear me the whole time? Was I gone?
We did, just until
most of it.
If anybody else had any questions for Joel about kind of what I do have some other areas that I want to touch on, and I know we don't have all the time in the world, but did anyone else kind of want to touch on some of the things that he had just gone over?
I just want to throw out there, Joel. So I live like probably a 1-minute drive away. So I've been watching this every single day because I drive by every morning when I'm taking my daughter to her grandparents' house. And
excellent.
The efficiency of this project has also been mind-boggling, because the size of this structure and then the steel work involved in erecting it was really fun to watch. And so kudos to you guys on the contractors you picked, because it's moving faster than any other project I've seen move in Reno. They've done a really good job. I also
Well,
just want to throw out a big thanks that you guys are adding a bar and grill in there too, because that's like a food option now I can just walk to and not have to worry about an Uber drive back. So I hope
you're going to be,
permit in there too as well.
yeah, you'll be really excited with the operator who will be operating our concessions, which is Roundabout. So they have, yeah, so they'll be the ones that are handling that. We actually just signed or in the process of signing an agreement with a pro shop out of Nebraska and St. Louis that will handle all of our jerseys, sweatshirts, hats, beanies, everything that they're going to run a full-blown pro shop in there. They're going to offer hockey equipment during the winter, and then they'll have lacrosse equipment in there during the kind of what we would consider an off season. So we were able to just consummate that in about the past week and a half. So it'll be, yeah, it's going to be great. The contractor's doing a great job. We've had some COVID issues on site. Technically, this building was supposed to be done by the end of November. So start to finish, it'll end up being about an 8-month project. But it's been challenging. I mean, there's a lot of things that you're trying to get people who've never built one of these to understand that you're going to keep the focus on what's the utilization of the building. And it's to maintain temperatures and training the subcontractors in the area that this is not done in your standard fashion. And then, of course, dealing with the different foreign entities, which interesting story about this, 5 days, or sorry, I guess it was about a month before the German contractor was set to be on site, I got an email at 7 o'clock in the morning saying that the President of the United States had issued an order not allowing foreign nationals even with visas in the country. And so he said, we'll be there on January 31st. And so I picked up the phone and I called him. I said, that's not going to work. So we worked with Senator Cortez Masto and former Congressman John Porter to 5 days before they were supposed to land here. We got the approval to get them in the country so they could do their work. So it was this project has had every possible challenge you could imagine. And we're fortunate that we're only about a month behind schedule.
Yeah, you guys have done an excellent job, and we'll definitely be a customer too. My daughter waves to it every morning and says, "Hi, ice skating rink." So by 3, she should be on the rink.
Well, that's awesome. I think the signs go up today, so it'll be a little bit more friendly for her.
So
That's
Joel,
funny because my 55-year-old husband does the same thing. He is so excited. He's an East Coast guy, and he drives by and waves and says, "Hi, ice skating rink. I can't wait." Don't tell him I said that, but he's probably going to watch this video and see it anyway.
Well, clearly he has a childlike sense of wonder like my 2-year-old. So
tell us, Joel, you're not originally from Reno, or are you? I couldn't quite tell in your background, but given your sports loyalties, I got a feeling you're an East Coaster.
Yeah, I was born and raised on the East Coast and moved out here after grad school in 2002, and so I've been here. I think a few more years I'll have lived here just as long as I lived on the East Coast. So love it here. Tried to move back once and couldn't deal with the traffic and the fact that everything's a 15-minute drive in Reno. So yeah, originally from the Boston area, New Hampshire.
Well, we're happy to have you made your home here in Reno. Let me ask you, because we are running out of time.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about the RED project. That's
Sure.
Obviously been, I spent a lot of time working for the pepper mill, and we were really excited when I was working over there. But just being that it's geographically kind of in the center of Reno, I've got huge aspirations for that. So what do you got going on there?
Sure. I think that we only do difficult projects. So this project was 48 acres, formerly the Park Lane Mall. There was a regional developer out of the Bay Area that was trying to do what you call a power center, a retail power center with a Walmart, a Lowe's, et cetera. Could not get it through the city. City wanted high density, active lifestyle type of environment. Our company picked it up, I guess, back 5 or 6 years ago at this point. And we kind of went to work. So we went through many different designs. Ultimately, we ended up back at the original layout of the property with a couple different nuances. So the first thing you see up in the air right now is what we call a wrapped product. So 1A, it's denoted on the site plan. And Jake, you can see the site plan, right? Okay, great. So it's a wrap building, and what that means is that you have an interior parking garage. So everything that's gray on this site plan is a parking garage, and then it gets wrapped with residential units. So when you drive by, you're not going to see parking. So there's 200 and something units in this 1A building here. It's really, after walking through it and understanding the amenity spaces, and we took on Lion Living out of Newport Beach, who has done these types of projects as our co-general partner on this. And they've brought a lot of skill and expertise to the project. It's been a learning experience for us as well, but just fully amenitizing the development. So there's pretty much every building has a pool for the most part, and then a central amenity on the rooftop of building 3. There'll be a pool on top of there with gym, fitness, etc., and then LED screens on all of these amenity spaces. So giant LED screens where you can watch the Super Bowl, you can, watch the Kentucky Derby, have movie nights in the park, etc. So fully amenitizing the development. When you first enter off of South Virginia Street, straight down kind of the main corridor here towards the park, on your left-hand side, you'll have the hotel, which the brand that we're going with is a Marriott Element, which is a lot more, I'd say it's a brighter concept than what we've probably seen in the past. Element was an old brand that Marriott revamped. I believe they bought it from Sheraton and revamped it, but they're even going to have a rooftop pool on there as well, which I believe I have that picture right here. So you can kind of see how it's sitting over the retail, and then they'll have some sort of outdoor bar and grill area. There's also some small convention space that's planned in here. We're just kind of finishing up the final design and permitting on this, and then that'll be under construction. The first building that I was talking about, so the park lane, or the park that sits in front of the movie theater, is just pretty much in front to the right of this building. That's a 1.4 acre park. It will have spots for food trucks. There will be an LED screen in there as well for the movie nights in the park that I was talking about. We will also have kind of an open air see-through leasing office there that will handle the leasing for the entire development as a whole. Each building has a leasing office in it, but that's going to kind of be your welcome center. Grab a cup of coffee, take a walk through the park, go and check out the various different units. We did just open up in this building a temporary leasing office while we're building that out in this area in the front of the building as well. So if anybody's interested in taking a look at what some of the future units are going to be, by all means, schedule an appointment. So we have a waiting list, or not a waiting list, but an interest list of over 600 people right now on the project. So we're working through that, scheduling meetings, allowing people to kind of see what's going to happen here within the building. On this rooftop deck here, there will be a bar concept that we're looking at for up there. So you could eat down here in the what we're planning on will be a nicer restaurant in the all glassed area there, and then you can take the back elevator up to the rooftop and finish off with a drink or dessert and whatnot. So there's about 55,000 square feet of retail space in the entire park. The first retail to go will be in the bottom of this building, heading back towards the theater. And then, of course, building 3, which is right here, that's going to be kind of the centerplex for the development. So this will have the rooftop amenity, and then it'll be wrapped in retail as well. The other 3 buildings that you see down Grove Street that are under construction right now are more of what you would consider your garden walk-up, although they are elevated and fully amenitized as well. They're more kind of like an urban studio. There are some 1s and 2s, but not necessarily the price point of 1A, but still a really nice urban style apartment with full amenities and access through to the walking paths and the park as well. I was trying to find my slide, and unfortunately I was not able to, but where 1B, 2B, and 2A are, we currently have this plan for a Class A higher tech type of office park, where playing with that, just kind of seeing what the quality of the product is right now. It's available on the market, but we are kind of searching for that big tech tenant to kind of anchor that portion of the development. So we are starting with the southern half of the development and kind of working our way north towards Plum Lane. Any questions, Jake or the group?
Yeah, can you go back to the slide 10? So that red building that's right beneath 2A, whereabouts is that on Virginia? So what sits on the other side of Virginia Street there?
Well, let's just give you, so this right here, this is the veterinary hospital.
Okay, perfect. That's Clache, I think it's called Clache or something like that.
Correct. So this is right across the street from, almost across the street from that office building, the two-story office building right there.
Perfect.
And this site,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, a site plan this is not the kind of finalized site plan, but it gives you a good idea. The other big thing to point out is right here is that marketplace denoted right there. That's gonna be, it's gonna have some larger type of luxury type units on it, probably more corporate rental, for lack of a better term. And then the downstairs would be, we could have artisans and, kind of a farmer's market type thing in there, but at the same time, having the flexibility to move everything out and be able to hold kind of a small band in there. Yeah. So very, very flexible space.
I'm super excited. Does this project have an affiliation to the project that sits on the other side of, what is that, where the Bank of America building is in the Cold Stone? And I know they're doing some extensive, but I guess it's kind of just like a resurfacing or something like that. Or
yeah, they're remodeling in there. We actually, they have a food hall in there as well, but they've got smaller space. The connectivity between the two works out well because they'll have a Sprouts Market and other types of users in there. But we originally had a grocery store on the site and then kind of went away from that. And fortunately, they ended up with one across the street. So it just added amenity to the rest of the overall development. So they work well together.
That's awesome. And like I said, I'm super excited. So we'll finish this up with this. And I know that you're not you're not necessarily born here, but given you spent half your life here, we'll give you the pass and kind of tell us a little bit about your vision. For me, it's like you connected the university with what is going on with downtown to the kind of the freight house district, and you move down into the beautiful now Midtown, and then you connect this, and then with everything moving down into South Reno, is that your vision and what you've seen when you came to Reno to where it's today and where you see it going? Is that, can you speak to your?
Sure. Well, it was kind of funny because when I was a retail broker, when I started my career in Reno 18 years ago at this point, the tough part, I used to always call Park Lane the 50-yard line, and nobody's ever made it past it. Nobody could ever, it was ultimately a haven for seagulls, and nobody could do anything with it. So when this came up and it was kind of a different take on urban lifestyle, you kind of stated it perfectly of what this is to Reno. It's to connect the Midtown area with the university, have the university filter more into downtown, and then continue south to create kind of the convention center district, if you will, but kind of continue to regentrify all of South Virginia Street. So, you're 1.2 miles from the airport. So when you come out of the airport, you come straight down to South Virginia Street, right towards Midtown, downtown, left to the convention center. And ULI, Urban Land Institute, had done a study a few years ago that kind of said this was the center and the heart of Reno, was this intersection of Plum and South Virginia Street. So now it's kind of up to not just us, but the developers in town and the rest of the community to kind of continue to let that push south and kind of clean everything up. Everybody assumes that when you're regentrifying, you're just going to go in and make it high-end luxury style development. Park Lane had to be that way just based on the simple cost to develop something like this. To develop a parking garage, you're at $26,000 to $28,000 per parking space. So you're not going to be able to do, low and affordable housing. But that's not what the intention of that was. We have other developments that cater to that demographic, and there's a huge need for that. And there should be more developments like that. But this kind of is a statement to what Reno is and what Reno can be, and then also allowing people that are moving into the area that are saying, okay, where is the spot if I want to be in walking distance to downtown, midtown? I mean, even the university is not, it's not a far walk, and of course there's bus transport and everything, but this allows you easy access off the major arterials of 80 and 395. So you can live here and get to Trick if you're working for a tech company out in Trick, very easy to get there. So it's just kind of the center of it all.
That's perfect. That's a great summary, and I'm glad somebody's doing it. Tom, do you want to kind of jump in and close us out, or does anyone else have questions for Joel before I kind of head for the exit here?
Hey Joel, one quick question before you go back to
Sure.
Reno Ice. Do you guys have any plans or thoughts of like holding events, like a networking event or a COBAA event or something? Do you have space for that and costs?
Well, so there will be space on the mezzanine level that I was talking about. But in the interim, you know, for birthday parties and stuff like that, we do have some different areas, so we can make it work. Some people will rent the ice for an hour, you know, on where it'll be a private rental. We do have that availability. I mean, I try to explain it to everybody. This is more of a community center than it is an ice center, you know, an ice rink. So, you know, we've talked with people that are talked about putting covers over the ice and holding a job fair. I mean, so it's allowing more convention space. So, yeah, we will definitely have that availability.
Cool.
Joel, I got a real quick question for you. Ranch
Sure.
Era, when are the restaurants going to be open over there? Do you know?
I'd say probably in the spring. The one on the water is under construction or just starting to get under construction. That's probably 6 months out to 7 months out, but they've already started turnover to a lot of those tenants in there. So I'd say come springtime, you'll at least have a delivery option if we're not allowed to sit in a restaurant.
Perfect. Yeah, I live about a minute away, so I'm looking forward to that being
Excellent.
open. Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, Joel, I feel like we could talk for another hour or so about all the development. So I really appreciate you coming on. I feel like we really need to have you on maybe in the next 7 or 8 months, just so we can get a follow-up on how Reno Ice is doing. And because I'm sure you're going to experience some COVID challenges with, you know, allowing the public there. So it'll be interesting to hear. Maybe mid-year or something, we'll have you back on if that works out with your schedule.
We'd love to.
Perfect. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking your time out today to speak to the board. So thank you, Joel.
Not a problem. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks again, Joel.
Thank you. Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Joel.
Great presentation.
Thank you.